Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Yes, it has been a very long time since I've done it, and I promised this deck profile in particular for I've teased this since forever. Ever since premium deck profiles have been appearing more often on my channel, I've been wanting to do this one for a very long time. I've also, like I said, I still am very busy. I have a lot of stuff going on and on my personal side, but it's getting lesser, so this will be one of the first few videos that you will see that I will start uploading more regularly. This is my Alfred premium deck profile, and yes, finally, I'm not gonna boast. I am the first person on the internet to have this guy back in 2017, but then after premium came around and then Alfred prices were so high because this guy used to cost $30, and I just couldn't do any more Royal Paladin deck profiles. However, prices have dropped, meta has changed, premium up and down, ban lists here and there, and I can finally throw my hand into the ring after about a good 2 years of waiting for my own Blaster Blade deck profile, or to be more particular, Alfred premium deck profile. Now, to be specific, this is a deck that focuses on Alfred. So this is not a Blaster deck profile, this is Alfred. So I just want to get it clear. This build is more mid-range in the sense that we don't try any of those funny combos with Javelin the Rocio into Flogel, stand attack, stand attack, stand attack, because it's very unsustainable. Yes, that still happens in this deck, but this deck focuses on more drawn-out combat. We have tools for mid-game, we have tools for early game, and we have tools for late game. So you will see that this deck is one of the most balanced I've done for a premium deck. I mean, Night Rose tilts a little bit more to late game. Blade Master, well, with the new V series support, it really depends on how you put it in. If you build more based on the new grade 3, then you're more early game. If you build more based on Cohen, you're more late game. So let's get started. So first up, this is Alfred early. This guy's really cheap, so you can pick this guy up really fast. The skill is Count Blast 1, call a Blaster Blade, this guy, from your hand or soul. Alright, give it 10k. If you do, draw a card. Now I must emphasize, this is the key first right target, or if not, you can just stack him. The effect is really good because what the ideal scenario is, let's say you have a Blaster Blade in your soul, you ride him, then you call. He gets 10k, you get force, right? Then you draw a card. And then after you draw a card, you could then strike into Ganslot or literally anything. So if this being a first ride, it opens up a lot of potential. First of all, you've already set up quite a fair bit of board combo, and well, it's just a really good first ride, no matter how it is. I mean, you could repeatedly stack this guy just for force markers, just be again, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and then you apply more force. But then again, this deck requires balance, as in you need to know just how many times is riding okay. When do I know to not ride but strike? Because you only have a limited number of grade 3s in the deck. So yeah, it's one of it. So the next guy is the King of Knights Alfred. Yes, I bought the start deck. This guy is now insanely cheap. Started off as high as 45 on my locals, and now he's all the way at the bottom at a grand price of 4. So yeah, but he's still really good. He's an alternative first ride or even a second strike. And the reason why I have to bring up the concept of riding is because this deck plays this guy, and I will get to him in just a bit. So King of Knights Alfred's ability, of course, you get force. Then after that, well, not really after that, during the main phase, you could call a Blast 1, alright, call a Blaster Blade from your deck, and he gains +5. Shuffle the deck. So that's the first skill. The second skill is, as long as you have Blaster Blade on your rearguard circle, he will gain 10,000k power. Now this is not something to stack. This is if you have 1, you get +10. You cannot stack this effect by calling 2 and then say I get 20k. It just doesn't work. Besides, most of the time you just want to have at least 1 Blaster Blade on the field. It's already painful enough. So this guy is the ideal first ride if you're being aggressive. If you want to stack high numbers fast, it's definitely this guy. Or even if not, you could always use Alfred, then this guy, and with Tan on the field, and let me be more clear. Let's say you had Blaster Blade, then you place Alfred. Alfred pops up Blaster Blade, then you gain Force, right? Then you go into this guy, you call Tana. Then with Tana's skill, you superiorite Alfred, and then you gain another Force marker that you could put anywhere on this field. So just with that, you would gain 2 Force markers on your first grade 1 turn, which is insane. Like, I know Genesis stacks a lot of Force markers, which that's strong, but in Premium, they're relatively limited. That deck is only good in Standard because there's a lot of Astral Poet support, and Standard's a really easy format to topple, not gonna lie. If you want something with a bit more diversity, you're going to have to walk into Premium, and when Astral Poets do, they're going to have a lot of problem. Whereas, no matter where you go, for let's say Blaster Blade, this guy is in Premium only, so you can only try this for stacking things in Premium, but you get the point. I've always advocated that Premium is a more fun format than Standard, and you can see why. Just stuff like this, it's fun. But if not, this is definitely at least a 2-piece. I don't recommend 4 of the King of Knights. I think 2 to 3 is definitely sufficient. 1 is a bit lacking. Some people cut this from their deck completely because they don't see the viability of the King of Knights. I still carry it because it bears the Alfred name, and for reasons we will see later. Next up, we have 2 copies of Monarch. Disclaimer, I am a poor boy. If y'all have 3 Monarchs or even 4 for the rich kids, please go ahead and put it in. Like I said, this is the reason why I play 2 of this. But if not, I think 2 Monarch is already quite sufficient, to be very honest. Monarch is mainly kept in most decks for its first skill. All your Blaster Blades on Rearguard on Guardian Circle gain plus 10k and 5k shield. So that means if your opponent wants to attack your Blaster Blade on their turn, he's 20k. If you want to attack with your Blaster Blade on your turn, it's 20k. If you want to use Blaster Blade as a shield for your Vanguard, it's 10k shield. So you can see how this continuous boost of power makes Blaster Blade powerful. Like, I know Gancelot gives Vanguard the whole drive, give Blaster Blade the whole drive check, that extra crit. It's good, but, well, that's relatively more aggressive. Gancelot is a relatively more aggressive card in my opinion, and Gancelot doesn't really fit well in the Premium because none of my strides, as of my recollection, like this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, specify hard card Gancelot. Everybody specifies hard card Alfred, and that's why, well, the Alfred Premium deck can exist. I mean, if you play Standard, I would definitely advocate more of Gancelot, but if not, if you're in Premium, then Alfred's still the better choice. The second skill is Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. If you have an Alfred in your soul, okay, this is an Alfred, alright, he gains a crit. Then you choose, then you take a Blaster Blade from your drop zone, put in your hand, and then he gains 15k, Alfred. So on first ride, I mean, if you've already lost the Blaster Blade, this is really good to recover. Second ride is even better, he gets the crit. But then again, on first ride, his effects are really limited. If let's say you're on first ride and no Blaster Blade has died, and you use this effect, you only get the 15k boost. I see, and of course Force. I see why people like to see this as a first ride. And that's why people play 4 of this, because they really don't mind forfeiting the rest of the effect. After all, you still get the 10k boost to Blaster Blade and a temporary 15k spike, and then afterwards you don't have to worry about power because you can just, strike. But I mean, I believe in using the full potential of cards, and I believe that this recycle potential would be wasted if you put this on the first strike. Of course, like I said, we don't always get our way, and sometimes we have the first ride, which is why with the introduction of Vbt05, I took the liberty of finding this guy, which we will get to in just a bit. If not, I mean, if you're okay with forfeiting the effect, 4 pieces is definitely a way to go. But because I prefer to save this effect, and Blaster Blade you only have 4, I usually just use this as a second ride, or even a finisher, because with the amount of power generation this can pump up on a second ride, you don't even need to stride. This guy will easily tank a huge weight, and if you have flow goal and you have been using force markers consistently, well, you can win the game in just second ride. So he's more of a finisher option in my opinion. We'll start off with the more controversial grade 2. Blaster Duck at 4 apiece. Yes, I know, this is Royal Paladin. We threw in the Shadow Paladin card. Oh no, cross clan. No, Blaster Duck is still viable and still can be used according to rulings. So nobody start flanking me in the comments on Reddit or YouTube that I'm breaking game rules. So his skill is, well, he only has 2 skills, is Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire. This is a little bit more ideal for retiring, because if you see Blaster Blade's requirement, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, and in the front row, well, you see why I would still add Blaster Duck. But he's not here because of the burn option. He's here for 2 other reasons. Discard a card from your hand while he's on VG Circle, and he gets Twin Drive. So let's say you have like something like Margal and you just throw it away. He gets Twin Drive on turn 2, and that is insane offensive potential. I mean, stuff like Premium, a lot of people just play any game style decks where they're all about getting grade 3, then opening up their extra deck, and then they start striding. Well, with Blaster Duck on turn 2, you can already build the Formidable Presence. And the other benefit of playing Blaster Duck is this. I chose Blaster Duck for a reason. Oops, new camera. I chose Blaster Duck for a reason because of Wingull Brave. I will get to that in just a bit, but it's worth noting that Wingull Brave has to boost the Blaster unit attacking. So if say, and this is the combo I usually use, if Blaster Duck has attack with Wingull, boosting Wingull Brave, and like I just mentioned, Blaster Duck generates a lot of early game value, then you could just put him in the soul and then add a Blaster Blade to your hand. So you can see why I chose Blaster Duck. He's the best early game tool to the whole of the Royal Paladin toolbox, I dare say. Then what do you do with him on late game? Well, I mean, you could still use him as a grade 2 beat stick. He still is a beat stick. He still has his retiring ability if you really need to get rid of something. But if not, when you shrine into stuff like Alfred Holy Saver, you could just throw him away. And it's totally fine, because he's not viable in the late game. Next up, for Blaster Blade, these 2 are foiled. So I'm not that poor as you think I am. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much to say. If you 4 more rearguards on Vanguard, he gains a crit. Blaster Duck still better early game. And then of course the really shitty retiring ability. But then again, this whole deck's built around him, so I have to mention him. Tutana. I've tested 4, I've tested 3, I've tested 1. The ideal number currently is 2. So when you call him, you get to, if your Vanguard's an Alfred, so just like I said just now, you can search your deck for a new Alfred and then place it, and he gets +5. Seems incredibly useless when you read it on the base text, and there's a reason why this guy was never used in Alfred decks, even though he was released in early 2015. Yes, the set Vanguard and Deleter, which introduced the Swordsman of Light archetype. Yes, I remember, because I bought every G set with Blaster, so with Alfred, so I have a right to talk about this guy. Alright, so he just searches for an Alfred put. So when he first came out, he was widely forgotten, or if not, never used. And I never used him, even though I had a playset of him in 2016, so I never really used him. But then again, you need to remember that in V, you have these things called Force, and that's what they're using to stack. There's a reason why, like I said, Genesis is now very powerful, and that's because it can stack Force markers, continuous 10k boosters. And that's what we're trying to abuse here. We are trying to abuse stacking Force markers. So that's the only reason why he's here. Is that, do you use him in the late game if you need another Force marker? If not, I say just a one-time switch up for an extra Force marker, and you have built well enough tempo, in my opinion. We play 4 of the Legend deck PGs, and yes, I'm going to explain. Of course, I I did have the option of doing draw PGs, but I still chose the Epona PG. And it's for a very simple and mind-blowing reason. We need to countercharge. In all Royal Paladin decks that involve Blaster Blade, there is going to be a lot of counterblasting. I'm sure if you've seen the past 8 cards I've revealed in this deck, 7 of them use counterblast. So that should give you a good indication of what we're dealing with here. So having something to countercharge even on your opponent's turn is neat. Speaking of countercharging, we play 2 of this guy and 2 of this guy. So we'll get through one of them one by one since they both countercharge. This guy is a very simple skill. When placed, Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 2. Straightforward. Weak booster, weak card. Don't put this as shield. Just save it for that one time countercharge. It's a major turn back of just 2 solid counterblasts just for Soul Blast 2. You do need to be careful Soul though, but that's not really much of a problem. Then again, you don't want to first ride this guy for reasons that you will be beaten down. I mean, 5k power, you're sitting at power lower than a V starter, so just be careful of that. Next, we have Pluck Enchanter from the new Vbt05. Pluck Enchanter is good because whenever Blaster Blade is placed once per turn, Soul Charge 1. If you have no counter blast open, then you counter charge 1. So, I mean, you could use this if no counter blast, just whack a Blaster Blade out, counter charge. The Soul Charge is also pretty good because it helps for the soul. We don't have a lot of soul eating units, but this is good if you need some soul. But we only play 2 apiece because he's relying on Blaster Blade. You need a Blaster Blade out, then you get its effect. 2 Alan. Alan's quite good. When placed, count blast 1, call, draw a card, give him 3k. Of course, the only drawback is you need to have another card you wish to call from your hand when using Alan. If not, he's still a solid option of a draw plus 3. So, yeah. Next up, 3 Stride Fodders. Yes, just 3. We don't need a lot here. Because there are some solid turns where I've mentioned you can just camp on Alfred and your turn will still be pretty good. You don't necessarily have to strike to win. So just 3 should do the trick. And besides, they can't really search you Alfred, so you might as well just play 3. This is the reason why I've kept this deck profile waiting for so long. I'm so sorry. I mean, this guy is so good, yet and so expensive because the standard players in Ganslot, once they swap to Ganslot, for those that didn't use Alfred, this is your alternative, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why some people are okay with Alfred first right is because they will not deny themselves of losing their Blaster Blade. Cloud Lancer Gamoris is just a beast. His skill is very simple. When placed, choose a grade 2, put it at the bottom of your deck, then he gains 10k power. First of all, recycling Blaster Blade alone is insanely good. Like Blaster Blade Legend deck in 2016, everybody, including me, had to play New Style Blaster Liu just because he could recycle. So that should give you a strong indication on just how much recycling cost us. And New Style Blaster Liu is still being played in premium decks. Not in mine, but even Solemn Vanguard, I remember, has a video that has a New Style Blaster Liu in his list. And I don't know which one that was, but y'all can let me know if you remember. But he had one in his list, one of his earlier lists for premium. But now this guy is just a complete replacement for him. His skill is, well, I just mentioned it. So, your Blaster Blade can be saved and it's on rearguard. Liu's biggest drawback would probably be it was a grade 3. Sure, it got 5k shield and it had intercept. But, you know, why would you waste a grade 3? You could use the grade 3 to strike. And Cloud Lancer Gamoris' other strength is that it gains 10k boost. It's literally giving itself a force marker on rearguard. Like, you want to talk about stacking 2 force markers on Blaster Blade? Gamoris behind is literally just giving him another one for a turn. And that's not really accurate to say. It's giving Gamoris an extra force marker. So even after you attack, then you use Floga Restand, and then you boost, man, power level is gonna be damn high. Gamoris is, well, it is on place, so his effect is relatively underwhelming after that turn. But let's just say Gamoris is the best swing card, as in potential to swing turns or swing games ever in the history of Vanguard. I mean, an 18k booster for a turn, then a recycling of a key piece. and it has no cost? Well, it did. It cost me $10 per piece, and it's very hard to find. Try it on Big Web, I dare you. Next up, we play 4 draw triggers. Then we also play 4 V crits. And yes, I have to show off my non-border. We play 4 V heals. There's 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then of course, 4 Flogo. This is still a key piece in Blaster decks, I dare say forever. Alright, so the skill is Count Blast 1 when after your Blaster Blade attacks. Put it to the top of your deck. Well, make Blaster Blade stand again, shuffle the deck. This is the main reason why Blaster Blade's a dick, because he could just stand and attack multiple times with multiple force markers. Because you all remembered how Sentry Guard was an absolute dick back in 2016, because he gave the front row a constant like 12k boost. Was it 12? I don't know, 9 to 12k boost. With force markers, we see Blaster Blade restanding at like 30k power. So this is one of the main reasons why Blaster Blade will always be viable and will always be expensive. Of course, Wingar Brave. From Vbt05, he is currently the oldest card in my deck, and I don't see myself replacing him anytime soon. I mean, I tested with all the Alfred starters, the Pump into Soul, give 3-5k, Elrond, Counterblast 1, put into Soul, call card from your deck. But Wingar Brave is still the most optimal because he can just move into Soul and add a Blaster unit. Of course, it's going to be Blaster Blade, and he works really well with my very, very good early game tool, Blaster Dark, which is why I just had to put him in. I mean, even if you boost Blaster Blade and put in a Soul, you still get an extra Blaster Blade and an extra Soul. So, I see this as an absolute win. He is one of the more expensive cards in the deck, although if you find someone relatively unwitting, you can buy this off at relatively cheap. But I will say though, I mean, I've owned this card for a good part of 4 to 5 years, so if any of you are still playing Blasters and have a Wingar Brave in your collection, he's definitely a must-hit. Next to G-Zone, 1 Ganslot. Yes, I've only had 1 and will always keep 1. When he attacks, if your hard card is Alfred or Blaster, counter charge 1, gain an extra drive. If you have a card faced up in the G-Zone, gain an extra crit. All for free. Ganslot's the literal definition of free plussing. And then of course when he goes back during your turn, all your Blaster Blades can resist. So Denial Griffin, no, not working. To Altmal. This is Aerial Sky Knight Altmal, if I'm not mistaken, from Vbt04, 2015 card. Flip this guy up in the G-Zone. All your front row units gain +3. Then if you have face-up card in the G-Zone, call a grade 2 from your deck, gains +5. This is when your board is missing an extra beater, you can just pull out a Blaster Blade or a Blaster Dark. Do not call Tana for reasons I do not have to say. You do not want to get rid of your Altmal Strike. It is not worth it, alright? It is not worth it. You will lose the 3k continuous buff to your front row, and you will lose the triple drive, so please don't do that. If not, you can just pop a Blaster Dark if you need an extra beat stick, call a Blaster Blade if you need an extra key piece, and he gets 5k. But this is more of a second strike onwards. I know a lot of people recommend Saint of Twin Sword, and I can see why. He racks high amounts of power and calls a lot of beat sticks. He is a finisher in my opinion, but I mean, I like Saint of Twin Sword, but what was the restriction for Saint of Twin Sword again? There was a restriction on Saint of Twin Sword, I'm very sure. Let me Google that. Give me a break. Give me a minute. Saint of... I remember there was a restriction, that's why I didn't want to add him in. Saint of Twin Sword. When it attacks while boosted. Yeah, it needs to be boosted. And I know this sounds quite stupid. You may be like, oh, of course, that's not a problem. It doesn't need to be boosted. Well, this is Royal Paladin. There is a chance where you don't have a back row because you're trying to rush him very fast with, well, all your grade 2s, and you're keeping the rest of your pieces for defensive measures. So that's one of the reasons why. And also, he only gives the extra power to the new units that appear, to any new units that appear. Whereas Altmal's 3k is constant to all front row units, including him. So even the first few attackers that were already on the board will get that extra 3k. Sure, the Twin Sword gives you extra power, but one, he's very expensive, and two, he is reliant on how many cards you have faced up in the G zone. Even if you use it as second strike, he'll only give the 2 units plus 10, which is good, but he could be used more for late game. And besides, if you call over, you lose key pieces on the board. If you don't have Gilmoris, or if you don't have a Monarch, you can't save those key pieces. I mean, he's a very good finisher, but in his deck, we already have a lot of finishers, so a little bit more moderate and conservative twist is something I would prefer. Of course, if you want to send a Twin Sword, I'm not going to stop you. I believe it's a very good strike. Alfred Holy Saver. Count Blast 1, flip one of him, choose a card from your hand, drop it. Your Blaster Blade gains 3k and Twin Drive for its first attack. I must specify first attack because Blaster Blade can multi-attack. And if they allow you to plus for every time he attack, well man, you might as well play Oracle Ting Tang. Anyways, the Twin Drive is relatively good. I mean, Blaster Blade is a high priority target and a key piece, and with the amount of support he has, so giving it Twin Drive is now just rare. Like, imagine attacking Blaster Blade with Force Markers. If you have just one flow goal, he could multi-attack, and any trigger that you, Alfred, or he, Blaster Blade, pulls will swing a high amount of power in the game. So this is one of the main reasons why I still believe you still need 4 of this guy. Drawback though, you need Blaster Blade. So if you don't have Blaster Blade, well, you're cucked. And that's probably the only weakness I see for this guy. But it's not like the whole deck's built around him. We have this guy, Holy Squire Dragon from 2015. He's probably the only card you've never heard of before. And for good reason, he was released in Vanguard Deleter along with, well, this guy. And he's largely forgotten, so this guy is pretty much useless. But he's not. You flip him up in the G zone if your hard cards. Alfred. I must specify Alfred and not Blaster, so don't go putting this into your Messianic deck. Unlock all your long units, then give all of them +2. And he, at Generation Break 3, gains 3k for every rearguard you get. So, for literally no cost, at just a flip, your whole board pumps 2 each, and he gets 15. Which is much better than the very first Royal Paladin strike that came out around the time. I think it was the... I can't remember, but in 2015, the very first Royal Paladin strike, well, this guy is clearly better. And the second thing is, the very nuanced part is he gets to unlock. I know we don't face Link Joker very often nowadays, but let's just remember that Link Joker is still a threat, no matter where you face him. So, I mean, any tech against... well, him is pretty good in my opinion. Yes, Sane Blow. Sane Blow gains 3k for every one of your rear guards. If face up G or more, he gets a crit. That's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, but this guy gives... oops, camera slide. This guy does give a +2 for every rear guard, so multi-attacks. Still a little bit extra power. And the unlocking thing is just really good to me because I'm really scared of Link Joker, so I would still recommend this guy. Next up, we have this guy, Myriad Soul Saver. Soul Blast 3, when he attacks, if your Vanguard's Alfred or Blaster, give everybody +5. Give 6 your units +5. 6, right? No, give 5 units +5. Still insanely good, although the drawback is Soul, so... yeah, just be careful. I mean, if you don't have Soul, you have this guy, but if you have Soul, then you have this guy, so board plussing is always fun. We still have Samuel. Samuel's really tech. Counter Blast 2, if you have 5 rear guards, deal the damage to the opponent. This is tech if you know that Blaster Blade can finish you the game by himself without external support. Then use Samuel, apply extra pressure, attack with your regular stride attack, use Blaster Blade, restand, finish the game. This is for options where you know your opponent can die, but you just need extra pushes. Use Samuel. The only restriction for the extra damage is your opponent needs to be at 4 or less damage. I need to specify 4 because if he's at 4 and you give him an extra 1/5, then every attack becomes lethal. And like I said, Samuel's used in more nuanced situations where you know you have the possibility of finishing the game. He's not restricted to Alfred or Blaster, so you can even put this into your other Royal Paladin decks if you know that you can finish your opponent in a more nuanced way. Drawback though, needs full field and counterblast 2. G-Guards, we play 2 Assault, counterblast 1. If your Vanguard's Alfred or Blaster, gain 5k shield for each rear guard. Good on bigger fields. If you don't have bigger fields, you can use Marin. Marin's skill is Marin's skill is Soul Blast 1. Call a card from your deck, give it 5. Call a grade 1 or higher unit from your deck, give it 5k. Give it 5k shield. Or give himself 5k shield. You get a point. He becomes 20k shield. You get to call grade 1 or higher. Requirements though, your Vanguard must be Alfred or Blaster, and it needs to be grade 1 or higher, so you can't call triggers. Other than that, this is a good way to still block, even if you have a low field, and you can reliably block for about 25k shield or higher. So yeah, like I said, if you ever run out of options to throw, there's Blaster Dark. Now you see why having a beat stick is worth it. If on the very rare condition that you are an absolute failure and you cannot finish him within 4 strikes, Obelisk Avalon. When he attacks, counterblast 1, fill your board with 5 new units from your deck, give him all 4k, he gets an extra crit, shuffle the deck. This guy is very controversial because by then, wouldn't you have called everybody that's cool in your strategy by now? You'd just be filling your deck with triggers. Not necessarily, because like I said, you have stuff like Gamors, who does reshuffle a Blaster Blade. So we are confident that you will at least be able to call a Blaster Blade. And if you want to talk about recycling triggers, Flogel is a trigger that can recycle itself back in the deck. So even if, let's say, you're very desperate, you can just build yourself a new board where there's just 1 Blaster Blade, a bunch of Force Markers, and lots of Flogel. You would still win the game no matter what. But this guy is really conditional. Like, I've been using this deck a lot, and I've never once used him. So this is just assurance that you don't need to have this card to have a good deck. And that wraps up my Blaster Premium deck profile. This deck can be super long to build, super long to test. The ratios were insane. I mean, at one point, I had Akane in this deck, and then I, the original Ganslot, and just a lot of other testing cards. But this is the ratio I'm most happy with, and I'm most happy to present. Thank you all so much for watching, and this is more of a 50 sub special as well. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been supporting me throughout the years. All of you are very important to me, no matter what they say. I know there's one dick that's going around putting dislikes on every new video I pump out. I upload a video and within 2 minutes there's already a dislike and no views, so I know it's you that's out there. But no, to whoever else that's actually enjoying my videos, thank you so much for your support. You will see a lot more videos from me soon. I have what's that deck? I have my I don't play Gauntlet. I'm having my Detonix Thunderbreak deck out soon, within the next 2 weeks. And I'm also reviewing something special. I'm going to do a bunch of Kamen Rider reviews as well. And of course, more decks. There should be more battles. I will try also, within the next few months, to join more tournaments, standard and premium hopefully, and review my results to them. Because I joined one back in August after Vbt05. I got 9th place with my Detonix deck. I'm pretty happy with that because the top 8 were all Gauntlet players, so you can't blame me. But I got 9th place out of 40, so I'm pretty happy with that. But I will be joining more tournaments, giving more feedback, the meta reports even, if I want to be a bit more solemn. I used to do rants on explanatory videos last time. I may even do that again, so you get the point. There will be a lot more content. I really love all you guys throughout your support for God knows how many years have I been doing this for? 6. But I really appreciate just doing this for you. It's just so much fun for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, or if you like the strategies I put into this Blaster deck, leave a like, comment. Blaster is the one deck that it's a cookie cutter, but yet so diverse. If you appreciate another strategy, watch another Blaster video and compare my deck to theirs. Who do you like more? I mean, if you like theirs more, I'm not going to blame you. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.